and more has come out in the past few days with these you know really disturbing allegations with Vince McMahon, the former owner of the WWE. With this here, just looking at the Daily Mail, you see here Vince McMahon at the center of bombshell sex trafficking accusations, as former WWE staffer Janelle Grant said he paid to keep quiet and alleges he forcefully used sex toys on her that he had named after his wrestlers. This is just I just came across this just now. This part here specifically, I mean, that's proper messed up right there. It really is, and but also with this, and McMahon's accuser claims he failed to pay the full $3 million settlement for her at NDA. So apparently he'd only paid her $1 million, and he was supposed to pay her $3 million. With all this stuff, I mean, it's too much. I mean, reading some of this stuff that from it was around late last Thursday. I was shocked by some of this stuff. Some of this stuff is proper shocking. So it's very graphic, very disturbing. I think the timing of this, with what WWE did, I believe it was last Monday they announced that Raw is going to be on Netflix, and then 2 days after that, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, board member of TKO now, he's on CNBC talking, him and the CEO of TKO Group Holdings, Ari Emanuel. They knew something was coming. They knew. And this was kind of the damage control thing on their part. Before this stuff gets out there about McMahon, we've got to make the big announcements about these deals. The stuff with Netflix. Get, Dwayne The Rock Johnson on. I feel that Rock probably knew about it. He can claim he didn't. But I feel that there's probably some loyalty there, him feeling indebted to what Vince did for him with his wrestling career. I think his family always had a good name, a good relationship with the McMahons, going back to his dad, Rocky Johnson, and his mom, who was a promoter, and with this in Samoa. I believe it was Hawaii. Sorry, but I think Rock knew about this. He knew what the deal was. He knew that allegations were going to be coming out, as did probably many people. I believe probably Triple H knew. And they decided this is what we've got to do. We've got to get this stuff out there. And I believe they were probably warned that, look, we're going to, we're going to be dropping this stuff that's going to come out about, with McMahon and the woman. And then, it got announced that, she's going to be suing McMahon. So I'm just reading here. So Janelle Grant previously agreed to a $3 million settlement exchange for signing an NDA, has filed a new lawsuit against McMahon, the WWE, and the former executive. So some of this stuff's proper messed up. I mean, you got guys like Brock Lesnar is involved in this. Brock, it was pretty messed up stuff. I mean, he wanted her to post, to send a video of her urinating. And then later on, I think he was going to plan to meet her, but then something got in the way of his traveling. He's out in Canada or something, and there was a snowstorm. But I mean, the thing with Brock is he might not know exactly what was going on behind the scenes there with what Vince was doing, but but it's still pretty messed up when you think about it. A married man who's like early mid-40s, asking a woman to send a video of her peeing herself, peeing, weird. But some of this stuff, and I'm not meaning to laugh at this story because it's proper horrific, but this one here that stood out to me is that the WWE board learned about McMahon's relationship with Grant from an anonymous tip in 2022 and launched an internal investigation which subsequently uncovered $14.6 million in other alleged payments by the executive to various women. 14.6 women. So that's something else. When you think about that amount of money, I mean, how many women are we talking about here? That could be anything from 4 to 8 women, maybe. Because a lot of these women, they're wanting a pretty big settlement. They want a pretty big payment to keep quiet, And if McMahon has been hyped up all this time as being a billionaire owner, they know if hey, we want $1 million. If we're going to be quiet about this, they would demand £1 million, something like that, probably more. I mean, there was speculation that Christy Hemme was one of those women. I don't know, but this stuff here about, I mean, some of this stuff is proper messed up. The whole thing about this stuff about what he supposedly done about, defecating on her head. I mean, this is proper sick. I was just shocked. I had to like stand up and walk away when I read it. I was like, good God, I didn't think. I mean, again, we still don't know. These are just allegations. He's got a right to defend himself. But I didn't think even McMahon, even though he's a bit of a messed up character, would be capable of doing something like this. But one clip I was wanting to share, and it's quite a disturbing clip. This was from a backstage segment in 2003. This is SmackDown. This is Vince there and his daughter Stephanie. And this segment is very weird, where the guy says here, this promo by Stephanie McMahon implying she was trafficked at 17 years old, along with a follow-up in-ring promo where Vince talks about Steph being deflowered. This seems very odd, and okay, you could say this is storyline, this is in character, but this seemed very weird and quite disturbing to me, and I can't believe it's only just been picked up now that this was something that they mentioned in a storyline. And so I just want to play this clip here and see what you guys think of this, because it seems I've watched it once or twice before, but it just seems proper weird to me. So,
you know what, Dad? I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry that all my life I've let you manipulate me and use me. All my life just to be the apple of my daddy's eye.
I'm having a little fun here.
Every time I went out to dinner with one of your business associates, I was 17 years old. You don't think they told me what you promised them I'd do? And guess what, Dad? I did it. I did it for you, the things I did with them, and I'm ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed of myself that I'm just like you. And I'm not gonna let you do that to Zach Gowen. Why do I care so much about Zach Gowen? Maybe because he's my last bastion of hope. Maybe because he's the last thing that can possibly save myself. But I'm not gonna let you do it to him, Dad. And if that means that you're gonna fire me, then fine. Fire me. Fire me, Dad. And then maybe you'll lose the one person who ever cared about you, the only one person that wanted to be just like you, me. Maybe I just won't care about you anymore.
Oh, that was quite something right there. I mean, I'll give her credit. She's been pretty good at that. I mean, I felt that. That felt quite real to me, what Stephanie McMahon was saying right there. That didn't feel... to me, she's not that good of an actress, And so, this whole thing, first off, people might say, well, this is just a storyline. This doesn't mean this really happened in real life. Yeah, sure, I get that. But one thing that I would say that I question, though, is that, number one, I don't understand how this added to the character in any way to imply that even though he's a billionaire, piece of shit, heel, doesn't care about anybody himself, only cares about money, why would you still need to imply that this guy was, using his, daughter, who was only 17 at the time, and promising his business associates that she would do things, and what they're implying that this is what's helped Vince get ahead, and with with WWE, him as the owner. I mean, that's proper messed up. I mean, but do these kind of things happen in the world? It can. But, it's one thing some businessman, if he's a woman and works for him, quite attractive, getting her to come along to a a dinner or something to schmooze potential clients or something, that's one thing. But the guy, his own daughter, business associates, and she's only 17. I don't believe that would have been legal age. Depending, I'm not that clued up with the legal age of all the different states in America. But that's proper messed up. I mean, let's suppose that actually happened. and they were using that. Now that could just all be part of the that was written in the show or whatever, but and then there's writers. There could have been a writer that wrote that particular segment. It maybe wasn't Vince McMahon, but Vince gets the final say on everything. That to me has his fingerprints written all over it. That thing, and I don't see how that added to the character in any way. I don't know what was Paul Heyman writing the show at the time. Like, Paul Heyman is quite controversial, but Paul Heyman I don't think would even go that far with something like that. That is messed up. So this stuff with Vince, I mean, it doesn't look good. And I was a guy, I wanted to think Vince had character. I wanted to think that Vince was a good guy. But this stuff, when you go through it all about all the accusations, it doesn't look good. And it's that whole thing, where there's smoke, there's fire. And you just see now Vince is very weird. It's a very weird look that he has. Jet black dyed hair, a little tiny moustache that's not aligned right. It's just a weird place and position he seems to be in. And I guess when you're 78 and you've lost your baby, WWE, people aren't looking at you the same way with that awe and admiration and respect that they once had, and probably fear as well. He's probably just in a very weird place, and it doesn't look good. It looks like a guy that was going to go down as like a sports entertainment legend. People might say he was almost like a Walt Disney, the Walt Disney of WWE. It looks like very much of this stuff is true. He'll be disgraced, because all the stuff that's coming out, it just doesn't look good at all. And the stuff that he was talking about in text messages and stuff like that. And people try and say, I saw stuff on Twitter, Val Venus tried to say that, when you talk to Vince, that he doesn't speak in the way he's speaking in the text messages. But again, when you text somebody, you can be very informal. You're not bothering to be all, with your grammar and the big words you normally use, you would use in formal settings. But, and I think Vince as well, did he not say in an interview with Pat McAfee, it wasn't until later on he ended up getting a degree from university. I think it says, in his Wikipedia, he graduated when he was 21, 22. But you know how things can be with Wikipedia. It's not the most reliable. But that stuff overall, it just doesn't look good. And we just have to wait and see, because there could be more stuff to this. There could be a hell of a lot more things with allegations that are going to come out. There's stories I heard about stuff about, Vince pressuring Lita into doing the live sex celebration back in 2006 with Edge. Cena and Vince tried to talk him out of having that segment on the show, but it didn't work. There's stuff about Ashley Mazzaro. I think it was Paul London was saying that she'd go to him a lot crying all the time, feeling that, I guess there was maybe that pressure there with Vince and being inappropriate and coming on to her and stuff like that. But it just doesn't look good. And maybe there's other stories out there, I don't know, because maybe a lot of these women have been paid off and have decided just to leave it alone and get on with their life if possible. But I just thought I'd show you that video with that stuff with Stephanie. And then it's very weird segment. I don't see how it added to the storyline that was going on at the time. He was kind of in a feud there with his daughter, who was the general manager of Smackdown. But then, he was really making her life a living hell. Don't see how it added to the storyline. Don't see how it added to the character. It's very disturbing, that. I don't know who the hell... It was like a Brian Gerwitz was a writer. I don't know if that he would have wrote something like that. But it just doesn't look good, though, this stuff with Vince. But I guess, who knows, maybe in the next few days a few more things could come out with this, with other, with allegations. But those are all my thoughts on that, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I will be keeping my eye on this with this stuff with Vince McMahon. So, thanks, guys. Bye.